Hello and welcome to our latest edition of West Coast XE. I am your host, Ken Martinez. If you're watching this, you're watching it on YouTube, please click the subscribe button. It's super helpful. We're trying to gain more subscribers. It really helps us to take pictures and travel to meets and provide them to you for free. So super easy on your part. Click on the subscribe button. And the same thing goes if you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Please follow. That really helps support us. Thank you so much. In this week's episode, we are previewing the California State Meet that will be held at Woodward Park in Fresno, California. And we'll be talking to two guests. We're going to be talking to Todd Tokubo, who was our very first guest 1 year ago this week. We did our first episode, which was the California State Meet preview, and we invite him back on for our anniversary broadcast, and he tells us about his top 5 things he's looking for. Like, what are the 5 things he's looking for when he's at the meet on Saturday? And then we talk to Coach Albert Caruana, and he breaks down the races by divisions, all 10 races, and goes through there and tells us what teams to look for that will make the podium and what individuals will be ones to watch in each division. So you want to stick around for that after Todd, hear from Coach Caruana. Okay, so here we go with Todd Tokubo and what he's looking for at the state meet. Well, we want to welcome Todd Tokubo. Welcome, Todd.
Ken, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm getting excited about the California State Meet. I have you on to give us your 5 things you're looking for. But I also have you on because a year ago this week, we recorded our first YouTube episode with you, Todd. And so I want to thank you for all of, obviously, your pictures, but also your help on the YouTube channel. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been fun. I think it's especially fun when you're standing around a meet and somebody makes a comment about something we talked about here, and I kind of have to do a double take every once in a while. The person going like, "Oh, you listened to the pod. Thank you very much for listening."
Yes, that does happen to me too. I think it's just me out down here in my basement, but there are people watching and subscribing, which we really appreciate. And before we get to your 5 things you're looking for, if you can indulge me, I'm going to go over the top 10 most viewed YouTube episodes, just because if you are a new person watching us for the first time or second time, we've been doing things throughout the calendar year. And also some of them you can actually watch without knowing whether it was like 3 months ago or not. Some things not, previews for meets, probably not, but here we go. So number 10 is Santiago Corona in La Mirada summer practice. So it was like video of them running at the park, interviews with the athletes and coaches. That was from last summer. And there are other ones too from last summer from other practices. That's number 10. Number 9 was Woodbridge preview. That's an example of maybe, it's finished. It's with Keenan Gray of Dystat. There are also interviews from previous meets at Meriwether in Oregon and Bellarmine of Washington. And then, Todd, you got bumped out of the top 10 because of this one that we did last week, the California sectional recap preview with Coach Albert Caruana, who recently retired from Crystal Springs Uplands. And it
was a good one, though, because it was a great primer for all the races that just happened this last weekend.
Yeah, so it was a recap of races that finished on the 15th and then the 20th and 22nd. So that was last week we did that, and there was an NXR also interviews of teams that made it from the Northwest and some athletes. Number 7 was Nike Portland XC preview with my friend Steve. We also interviewed kids from Woodbridge that we went to the previous week. So some of the previews maybe not so interesting now, but there are some pretty cool interviews of athletes from previous races. Then at number 6 was I had this idea of doing the Mount Rushmore of the greatest high school athletes of all the 3 states that we cover. Number 6 is with Dave Frank, Coach Dave Frank, and we did the Mount Hood of Oregon, and that made number 6. These are the girls and boys, the greatest distance runners of Oregon. And I would encourage you to go see Keenan Gray's Mount Rainier of Washington. It did not make the top 10, but we also covered Washington. Number 5 is Clovis Invitational Preview with Coach Caruana. This was back in October. And we also interviewed the Sun Devil Invitational athletes from San Diego the week before. Number 4 is the Mount Whitney of California with Coach Caruana, high school athletes from California. I think that's super interesting.
That one was fun. Reaching way back to even some of the people that were close to the time when I was in high school, even, which is pretty amazing.
He went he did some pretty good research, especially with the girl athletes who were, racing when it wasn't really a popular thing for girls to be involved in, which was really cool. That's good research. Then number 3 is another recent one. I interviewed Thor Espenson, coached locally here in Portland for the Oregon cross country state meet, and then Matt Ellis of the Bellarmine Prep of Tacoma, Washington. He talked about the Washington state meet preview. That was the third most watched. And then we did the California state meet last year, this time a year ago. And that was one of the most watched until this fall when all these cross country meets came and got bumped out. And so you know what, Todd, you're going to be on.
How could I not have one in the top 10? This is killing me.
Todd, this one right now, I will guarantee you, maybe I think it'll be the number 1 most watched in about a month.
All right. We'll take it to the bank.
Yeah, I'm going to bank that maybe by Sunday even. Number 2 is this one just blew up. This is back in March, the Dublin Distance Fiesta. I interviewed Coach Chris Williams of Dublin High School. Very inspirational coach, very popular coach in the East Bay. He had been diagnosed with cancer about a month earlier, so he talks about that. This one you can watch again because he does a little bit of a preview of who's going to be there, but it's actually like maybe 10% of the interview. The other 90% is like the history of the meet, which is, for those that aren't familiar with it, it's all distance events for 2 straight days, mostly the 800, the 16, and the 3200 with relays on Friday. It's the 4x8.
DMR.
Oh, DMR on Friday and Saturday.
Wait, is it DMR? No, wait, you're right. I think it's 4x8, then DMR. I think you're right.
4x8 on Friday and DMR on Saturday. And he just talks about how that meet is just blown up. And it's a really great meet that's happening again in March.
Yep.
And number 1 was from track season. Both California, I shouldn't say both, all 3 of our West Coast states had the state meets on the same weekend. California, Oregon, and Washington. California with Coach Caruana, Thor in Oregon, and Keenan Gray of Dystat for Washington. And we previewed that meet, which actually was the interview with Coach Chris Williams was like by far the most watched we had. And then eventually was caught by the California, Oregon, Washington state meet. But I'm going to make a point here. This will pass it.
We'll see. And let's hope so. Hey, do me right, folks. Come on, community.
Hey, listen, also, Todd, when we did our episode a year ago, today we had no subscribers.
That's true.
So that's pretty incredible. We got so many people to watch last year when we had no subscribers.
I'll also say, you've got kind of Hall of Fame level coaches like Albert and Chris coming on. They're going to talk a whole lot more about the community than I ever will have remembered or experienced. So it's great that you're getting people like that to come on consistently also and talk about stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm very thankful. Thankful for you coming on and thankful for all the guests we've had. They're just awesome guests. So now, Todd, let's switch to the California State Meet on Saturday. Right. Tell us the 5 things you'll be watching through your camera lens because you'll be there.
Yep. Okay. So we'll see what the camera shooting plan is between the 2 of us, but what am I looking for? So obviously the first, number 5 thing, times. Last year, 12 guys broke the 15-minute mark on that course, which is notorious for having kind of a barrier right around 15:04 or something. But last year's senior class was just absolutely outstanding for the guys in particular. So how many guys drop below that 15-minute mark? And then also how many of the girls, obviously girls like Daly and Braylon Combe will be below 17:30, but who else joins them in that group? And there was 10 girls last year below 17:30. So seeing spectacular performances like that, I think is the first thing you look out for. And
I say, and this is not a gambling show. I would say I think it's gonna be over 12. I say go over
you
on
really
the
think so?
boys. Yeah, I was looking at the Division One race, which is the last race. There's so many like superstars in the Division One boys race alone that not just the fact that there's some good runners in there, but there's some really evenly matched teams, and they're gonna be trying also to try to make NXN
Right.
at the end, and they'll know all the times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I think if you think about like the fact that there's 5 or 6 or 7 evenly matched teams, they might just hang back and watch each other and then go for the last mile. But I think with kids that maybe their teams are not going to be on the podium, they might want to just go to
Yeah.
NXN. And so I think the 12 will be obliterated. I think it might be 15, not by much, but because of the fact that that last race, they know what the times are and they got to go for it. And even
Yeah.
the teams too kind of need to know that, hey, we got to catch up to the Division 2 and 3 boys race. That's my call. On the girls side, I don't know. Might be that it might be right around 10 again. We'll see.
I think it's going to be really split up too. I saw some of the D5 girls in the NCS run. I mean, NorCal has a lot of really fast girls on the small school side.
If you say that, then I think it goes over. Then I think it goes over.
We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Because in the girls' race too, you have like Aleo Curtis, who ran really well at the Clovis Invitational, and then Summer Wilson went crazy.
Yeah.
And
But they were both in the 16s. I was just looking at it yesterday. They were both in the 16s.
He ran like 15, 14. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we might go over on both days and both times. All right. So that's
All right. Number four, maybe kind of one of our running jokes here for naming of schools, but I think St. Francis has a shot of winning both the D2 and D3 girls races.
Mm-hmm.
The St. Francis out of Mountain View in Division 2 and St. Francis from the Sacramento region in Division 3. Giving the shout out specifically for the Sacramento one because I know Haley Welsh on that team, her dad listens to this because he's made comments before.
Oh, nice. Great.
So Clint, if you listen, yes, I really hope the girls win Division 3.
So from an Oregon perspective, I host this Meet Nike Portland XC, and then teams will like jump and like want to come to the meet, and I'll see it on athletic.net. And it's so confusing because there's like 2 Santiagos, maybe there's more. There's 2 Californias. There's one in Southern California. Yep. There's a couple of Pacificas, a couple of Del Oros. There's a couple of Sarahs, J Sarah, but Sarahs. There's others too, and there's the St. Francis. There's a couple of Redwoods too.
Yeah, but remember you also talked about it before last year. California, we don't have an NXR for California. Our state meet is basically our NXR as well. So it's a big meet and it's a big state. I mean, let's be honest. California's a huge state.
Bunch of cathedrals going on here.
A lot of cathedrals.
A couple of Whitneys.
Yes.
Some are just called Mount Whitney, but other Whitney. Yeah, it's like, okay, which Pacifica's coming? Oh, okay, the one over in Garden Grove. Okay, got it. Anyway,
okay,
yeah. So, but
that's number 4. Is
I will say one more thing about St. Francis too is I tag I don't tag them correctly on Instagram because I get I get them mixed up.
Yeah, it's natural.
They have kind of similar colors too, or no?
Oh, no. Well, okay. One's yellow, one's like brown and something.
Okay. All right. And the Troubadours is one of them, and the other one is...
The Troubies are the ones from Sacramento, from the San Joaquin section. All right. Number 3 is kind of the small school individuals. Kind of got inspired after watching NCS the last week. D5, we've got Ollie O'Connor from Viewpoint, who's just been tearing it up this year. Southern section has Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's from Southern section? No, sorry, that's CCS. He's CCS. I'm sorry, my mistake. I just got done watching Ben Friedland at University just blow away everybody in Division 5 and had, I think, the second or third fastest time of the boys yesterday or over the weekend. And then, Blake Bay out of Fresno Christian also is having a great season. All of those guys are in this conversation to get near 15 in the D5 boys race, right?
Yeah. And that was a big fast. I mean, that was the last race of the meet last year, and we had several guys make it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
This one will be second to last this year, I think.
It was. I mean, there were there were kids running all-time great times in Division 5 last year, so
Right.
that was pretty cool.
Well, the top end here isn't going to change much this year. It's going to be fast.
Yeah.
And then the girls, we have like Ella Moganum from Lick, Farrell from Branson. Watch them go 1-2 in NCS D5. I saw Anna Salter from Crystal Springs earlier at Camp Melindo's 3200. There's a lot of fast D5 girls.
Yeah,
so,
I want to give a shout out to a young lady in San Diego at Christian High School. I think her name is, gosh, her name escapes me, but maybe her last name is Patterson. She dominated Mount Sac, small school. So that's another one too. You're saying, I'm looking at your notes here. You think Ella could run like a NXN qualifying type time? That she's that
maybe
good?
She just cruised through an NCS thing, but she's clocked a sub 17 this year.
Okay, so look for D5, and I believe you. I've been thoroughly impressed by Division 5.
It should be amazing. It should be. I really love watching the small schools because last year, aside with the Menlo boys, usually you do just get the really good individual kids out of those small schools that are they're D1 class kids. So
yeah.
All right, number 2. Probably just watching the boys from Jesuit. The D2 boys are the first race of the day.
Yeah.
So this is like that good bad scenario.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be cool. The course is going to have that special whatever they have on it to keep all the dust down. The numbers also say in that race that Ryan Chen and the Mountain View boys are going to be at least give them some competition. So it'll be an interesting first race.
It will be an interesting first race. I watched the D2 boys race on HD Runners live last weekend. That was intense. There's some really good Southern Sections teams, and a team from Jesuits section, Vacaville, is also very strong. So it won't be just Jesuit just winning going away. I mean, they're favored and they're very strong, and I would expect them to win. I'm just saying there'll be teams trying to stay with them as much as they can. But you say the good bad thing is the fact that then they set the times individually, and then the rest of the field just tees off on their times.
Everyone knows what to aim for.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, a combination of it being state, having a couple of really fast guys in the races individuals pushes the pace up front. You never know. It's so different from any other race that you usually have during the year.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be really interesting. They obviously had a great show. The Jesuit boys had a great showing at Clovis when we were there.
Yeah.
But let's hope they can put it together. I mean, they've had the hype all season, so.
Yeah, they're pretty strong. I mean, I would expect them to, even if they have an average day, to win that race. You also mentioned another race later on, the D4 girls race.
Right, and Jay Sarah and the Archie Williams girls. I think they just won the race up here. Like, I think they scored 37 or something like that up here at NCS.
I think they went
a sectional race.
They went 1, 2, 3. Is that correct?
They went 1, 2, 3, and they scored like a total of 37 points. So that's pretty impressive. We'll get to a more impressive thing here in a little bit, but was it, or did they score even lower than that? I think I might be confusing these things. Let me.
Well, I'll buy you some time here.
Archie go ahead. Buy me some time here.
Archie Williams girls 1, 2, 3 are pretty evenly matched with Jesuit. Jay Sarah's. Jay Sarah's 1, 2, 3. The difference is Jay Sarah's sixth girl could easily be the second girl, and they're so deep and interchangeable. And the other thing too is Jay Sarah is used to running fast to get to NXN. They're in this really interesting spot at D4. It's not as deep as the other divisions. They're really good. They're really fast in D4.
Yeah.
PR Daly's going to set the pace there, but they're a little bit deeper. They're a little bit deeper than Archie Williams, but Archie Williams should mix it up with them with the top.
I'm sorry, I got this confused. Archie Williams scored 21.
That's incredible. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and then who knows what they 7, 8, 7, 9 or something. It's really
and they had a Gabe Miramonte squad behind them. There's the two fast freshmen from Albany. It's not like they weren't running without any competition, but they just absolutely dominated that race.
And
So yeah.
Yeah, so your number one is
My number one is that only because I'm an NCS and a Division III homer. Watching the Campalumno boys go to try and defend their state championship, I got to see them up front running their 3200s in the middle of the season. They got just a ton of kids below that magical 930, approaching the 920 mark.
Great.
And not to get ahead of ourselves, but Chuck Woolridge there's no seniors on Chuck's team that he's bringing to Clovis.
Mm-hmm.
They are all juniors and a sophomore, I think.
Yeah, I looked through their roster that ran at NCS, and they were all underclass athletes. And so, yeah, it's kind of what Jesuit was like last year. Jesuit had a lot of like underclass runners, and you said, well, Jesuit's really good in 2024, but watch out for 2025.
Right.
Campolindo is going to possibly be in the same situation where they come back next year and even be better.
And they're doing a great job. I think Albert talked about it last time. They, on an aggregate 3,200 time, they won the Hoka's Post National, which was kind of a little cool virtual event throughout the season.
Right.
But they won that. They're defending as D3 champs. They'll probably come again, hopefully, knock on wood, this year. They won NCS. This is where the 37 came from. They beat Northgate 37 to 111.
Yeah, it's not close.
That's again, it's pretty amazing.
It's amazing, and I think they're one of the top two teams in the entire state. So here's the dilemma. I don't know if it's a dilemma. It's just the way it is. But Jesuit and Campolindo will like put the stake in the ground and say, this is what we've run.
Yep.
And the rest of the teams for the next, races, Division 1, 4, and 5, are going to be aiming for those.
Yep. They are the first two races of the day.
But if you look at the DieStat rankings, the gap between Jesuit and Campolindo and the third best team in the state is pretty big. And so I think the goal for the other teams is to be as close as they can to those two schools and get in that large bid. That's what you're really aiming for. So
I think it also bodes well for the individuals that are trying to make it through to NXN, because hopefully, especially the Division II group will set a pretty fast bar for the first race. Yeah. We were watching last year. The fastest race was that last race was the Division by boys. It was really fast.
Yeah, they're just going for it. I asked Coach Caruana if the athletes, like coaches, they know the times, but do they think about it on the course? He didn't really think so. I think it's pretty you just go for it and you just see what happens. But yeah.
We used to talk about with some of the teams I was working with, it's like, just run the race you're in. I think that's all you can really hope for at this point.
That's what he said. Boy, you and Coach Caruana must be on the same link or something, because that's what he said too. You just run your race. He's just
Well, maybe something in the water up here.
I'm looking forward to it.
My apologies to all the SoCal people. I'm sorry, I just got done with North Coast section, so I'm a little bit of a NorCal homer. It's not that I don't love all of you guys. I will see you all there on Friday and Saturday.
Shout out to our friends at HD Runners, my big time Dodger fans over there, and they. So I had
put this picture in. Sorry,
listen, I'm just beaming from the Rams too. They had a live beautiful. I was showing my wife on the computer. They had a southern section live, great camera coverage.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't at the meet, but I felt like I was, and I got a good sense of the southern section. It was super competitive. So we'll see what happens. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It was super. It was a road race, and so they were running really fast, and so
yeah. Especially with the rain, they changed it to the rain course.
Correct. Yeah, and they finish on the track and all those things, and it was just intense. It was just the finish on the track was intense. So
it was definitely a fast race, though. Looking at the times, it was fast
for sure. Yeah. So it was fun to watch, and it'll be good to see all those sections come together on Saturday. So Coach called you Coach Todd Tokubo. Yeah. I was still calling
that hasn't been for years, and they were in junior high school. So, but thank you anyway.
Everybody in my book is a coach. I call everybody coach. look forward to seeing you Saturday. Enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Friday. We're gonna meet up Friday, right?
I'll be there Friday. Yes. You might be there in the afternoon yourself.
Yep, that's the plan.
Okay, so yeah, I'll be there Friday taking pictures. That was a very popular post last year, was the practice pictures. I'm actually in Fresno quite early on Friday, but I'm thinking most of the teams will be there in the early afternoon after driving from the Bay Area or the Southern California or the Sacramento area is my guess.
Well, I mean, the sun's gonna go down by 5, so you can't be on
Yeah.
the course much after 5.
Yeah. So sometime between 2 and 3ish, I'll be in that area and I'll take some photos and I'll take some buddy photos if you want and team photos too if you like.
I
And
got somebody asking me for my first selfie yesterday or 2 days ago at NCS.
you've
That was
made
a
it.
very surreal thing.
You've made the big time. If your children were there to watch it, they would be horrified and
Yes, they
rolling
would.
their eyes and like, what is happening to our world?
They're,
Dad.
they're already horrified that I'm doing this.
Yeah. So yeah, they just my girls just roll their eyes and go, and my wife too. They're just like, what on earth is anyway? So have a great Thanksgiving.
Yep, you too.
Drive safe to Fresno. We'll see you Friday
Yep.
afternoon. We'll see everybody
See
Friday,
you on Friday.
and then we'll see everybody on Saturday. All
Yep,
right.
sounds great.
Thanks, Todd.
Later, Ken.
Well, we're happy to have Coach Albert Caruana on. Hey, Coach, thanks for being on again.
Thank you very much. I've lost track how many of these we've been on,
Got a
but
few. In fact, I this is our 1 year anniversary of doing these. We did the California State meet last year, and I did a tally of the top 10 most viewed. I think you're like in 4 or 5 of them.
all right.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
popular. So I appreciate your effort in the last year. It's really been awesome, and your insight's fantastic.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're going to talk about the California State meet, which is on Saturday. 10 races, 5 divisions, and starts at 8:30 and goes all the way, I think, to 1:30 in the afternoon. And the divisions are all kind of mixed up. You know, in Oregon, and not sure about Washington, but in Oregon it goes by small or large. But in California, they shuffle them, probably for NXN reasons.
I think it's just so, like not any division gets an advantage. I don't know how much NXN factors into that, but it's definitely nice that there's a rotation and each year it changes. It goes 2 divisions. It goes like this year it goes 2-3, 2-3, boys, girls, girls, and then it goes 4-5-1. So there's a if you just follow from year to year, you could see the rotation how it goes. Sometimes you're early and like I think we literally went from being the first race in 1 year and a couple of years later we were like the last race of the day. So it goes by fairly quickly.
And I did just mention NXN. This also is a regional meet for California. There are 9 regions for NXN. This is the ninth and final one. 2 teams make it, 5 individuals. But instead of the other regions where you're racing and you know that you're in 4th place and you might be going, this one's a little different. You may not know. You won't know until 2 o'clock.
Right. And it all depends, if you go early, you run fast and you're kind of waiting for everybody else to finish. And if you go last, you kind of know what teams ran before you and oh, here's what we need to do. So it's definitely very different than the other regionals.
Yeah. And speaking of that, the first 2 races have a huge impact on the boys NXN race because, without having head-to-head competition, it's kind of assumed that Jesuit boys and Campolindo boys are the 2 top teams, and they go right at the beginning.
Right.
And it's not necessarily their team time that you're really interested in. It's because it's a compilation of like taking all the races and just putting runner by runner. Is that correct?
Yeah, team time can be a little deceiving because if you have like a super fast runner, that's gonna change the team time, and somebody who has Jordan Hesse at their front of the pack is gonna have a really fast team time, but potentially they might not be at the same place. Yeah, definitely the merge is what you're looking at. Team time, yes, I think most of the time the fastest teams are going to have the fastest team times, but if you have a superstar at the front, that's going to change things up a little bit.
So at 8:30 is the boys Division Two, and who are some of the teams that you think could? Well, One's pretty obvious, but what are some other teams that are going to be pretty tough? And there's
Right.
by the way, top three teams make the podium. So we're going to think about 5 teams that might have a shot at being in the top three.
Right. So, yes, top three teams make podium. Top 10 individuals make the podium at the state meet. So Jesuit, I think they're ranked second nationally. They were the top team last year. I believe they returned everybody. They added Connor Bilodeau. I mean, he's been their number one runner at several of their meets. So they're the favorites. They've been in big meets and they have pretty much the most experienced coach in the country, who's been at Jesuit for, I think, somewhere between 55 and 60 years at Jesuit. Woodbridge has been the second best team, but so they finished fourth at the Southern Section meet, but they were missing one of their runners.
Okay.
So Thomas Yohn didn't run for them. He actually didn't run the prelims and the final. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that seems kind of concerning that he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then one of the runners, I believe, fell. So that definitely, if they're at full strength, I think they would have won. I think they're the second best team, but obviously they come in as a question mark. Dos Pueblos, they won. They had the fastest team time, I believe, in the Southern section, and they were followed by what, Lacerna and Hart. And so all those teams are in the mix there. Vacaville got second to Jesuit at their section final. Mountain View has kind of been under the radar. If for those people that visit Tully Runners and see their rankings, Mountain View was number 19 in the nation preseason. They lost one of their top runners, but they dominated at CCS and are definitely in the mix. And then the other team that may be under the radar, maybe not, Matilda Torres, they got third last year in at state. They won their section again, and they're definitely a factor. So I think those are all the teams.
Yeah, Matilda Torres is under the radar. I mean, they were in the radar at the beginning of this, like in August. They were like one of the, they were nationally ranked. They have 4 boys that are really tough.
Yeah.
And there's a gap. And Coach, you've had those kind of teams. That 5th runner could have an extraordinary day, and all of a sudden Matilda Torres is in the, could be a factor.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams in that boat. There's teams that have 3 really strong runners. There's a huge gap, and at section meets, I think you could survive those because the races are not quite as packed. But at the state meet, a lot of teams all of a sudden can come into play, and your 5th runner who was like okay at section meet all of a sudden is way back, or like you said, they have an inspired race and all of a sudden your team is way better than anticipated.
Who are some of the individuals we should look for in the D2 boys race?
Right. So, Cooper Stream, he won the Sac Joaquin section. He finished ahead of the Jesuit pack. Elijah Murillo of Branham. So Cooper Stream is from Vacaville. Elijah Murillo is from Branham. He's broken a couple of course records. I think his sophomore year, he was top 10 at the state meet. And he's running really well. He just ran his fast time at the Crystal Springs course. Benjamin Fernandez of Matilda Torres was the section champ. Heath Salter of De La Salle. And then I'm not sure. Did you watch the video or were you there live at the?
No, I had the best cross country morning, Coach, on Saturday. I am always at a cross country meet on Saturday, but this last Saturday I was home and I watched the Division I NCAA championships.
Right.
I was watching my computer because our friends at HD Runners had live coverage. And then I went and watched on my computer the NXR Southwest because I've seen a lot of those kids in Portland and at Woodbridge and at Clovis, so it was really fun. So I watched I watched this Division II race live on my laptop, and it was the most incredible There were several incredible finishes because it's on the track.
Yeah.
Like 350 meters or so, 320 meters on the track. And Aiden Antonio had the lead for most of the race, and then Derek Luna passed him.
Yeah.
And then Adrian Cantu of Saugus came around the turn, kind of slingshot him and he took the lead. But he ended up fading, and got to hand it to Aiden Antonio, who lost the lead twice in the
Yeah.
track. He wins it, and then Lyle Medeiros of Claremont quietly finishes second.
Right.
It was amazing. We had because it's on the track. It was just
Sure.
it's like a track meet, so it was really
Yeah.
fun to watch.
Yeah. So, all those four runners, they're going to be in play there. Yeah, Jesuit, Isaac Abbott and Connor Bilodeau, they've kind of taken the um, turns leading Jesuit. So, like, all those runners are going to be up in the top 10. And obviously, with so many close teams, who can get those low sticks is going to be super important uh, by the end of the meet. So yeah, so I think those are all the runners that are in play. I'm sure there's going to be a couple more. You just never know. Like let's see, Jackson Norcutt of Mount Carmel won the San Diego section. You don't know who like won a section meet and just cruised and
Sure.
is ready to have a huge meet at the state meet.
I appreciate the research on Woodbridge because they were considered like the second best team, and they're missing a runner. I have a
Right?
theory about the southern section. Okay, ready for this?
Yeah.
Theory number one, because we're going to go through all these divisions. You're going to hear me repeat, like, well, this team was really ranked pretty high, but they finished third or fourth on
Sure.
Saturday in the southern section.
Yeah.
Theory number one, it's the end of the season, flu season, cold season. Athletes are
Yeah.
dinged up. So they're either not running with a full team or they're not, one of their kids is running like at 85%.
Yeah.
Theory number one. Theory number two is the southern section is just really deep. And so if your third runner has like an off day, you could drop a couple
Right.
spots. And then the
Right.
third reason is for the second week in a row, they ran the rain course at Mount Sac, which I watched. And,
Yeah.
obviously I didn't run it, so people may argue with me. It didn't seem very hilly. It had some ups and downs, but it seemed like a road race with a track meet at the end. And so it was
Sure.
very fast, which might have thrown off some teams that could have really
Yeah.
used the hills.
Yeah. And if you look at the results, I mean, the difference between first and fifth sometimes was like 10 to 15 points, which is nothing. And like Woodbridge, so they were missing I mean, he's been second, third man. I mean, he ran
Huge.
15-19 at Clovis. That's a huge drop for them. With him, I believe they would have won. And then I believe one of the runners fell, finished 50th, and he was their fifth man. So, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast. I mean, Saugus 1 year, their girls finished seventh at the Southern section meet and then got second at the state meet. So, some teams are training right through. Hey, let's just qualify, and so you never know. Yeah, like difference between 5 to 10 points. If you look at the Division One scores, there's so many teams that are in play that yeah, I mean, all of a sudden a team just decides like, hey, we're feeling really good now, and then make a breakthrough at the state meet.
Which Dos Pueblos did at the section meet. They really ran
Sure.
a great race, and they were pretty psyched.
Right.
So that was pretty fun to watch. Now let's go to Division Three boys. This is the Compolindo boys who have no seniors in their top seven.
Right. Well, actually, you are correct. At the section meet, they didn't have any seniors.
Okay, that's why I saw it.
Uh,
Okay,
yeah, and I believe they're substituting one of their seniors who's going to run the state meet.
okay.
But they just kind of just did their thing on Saturday. They know that wasn't a big race. They were going to win easily there. I believe they're ranked. Last time I checked on Dicestat, they were like ranked 11th in the nation. So they're definitely super strong team. They won last year, and they should win again. I think West Ranch, no, not West Ranch, West Torrance is their biggest threat. They were clearly the best Division 3 team in the Southern section. Um, and West Ranch was third. Cathedral Catholic, they won San Diego section. And also at CCS, Willow Glen's been ranked up there. They've run really well, but their fifth man was back. So this goes back to the fifth man um, issue for some teams. Both Willow Glen and St. Ignatius They were competitive, but they've run better races. And their fifth man, for whatever reason, was they were back at their section mate. So if they can clean that up, then both teams are threats for the podium. And Oak Park was second at the uh, Southern Section meet, and I think we've mentioned West Ranch and Cathedral Catholic. So I think those are the primary teams.
Yeah, and then individually, could be anybody's race.
Yeah, so you saw Oliver Hunter. He won a really close race over Michael.
Scarinese, maybe?
Yeah, of South Pasadena. So that was a really close race. Noel Huato of Del Oro in Bakersfield. He's been one of the top runners. Uh, uh, Clark Gregory of Camp Lindo. He was our number one runner of the section meet. Caden Airhorn has also been up there. So I think both those two are going to be up there. Andres Lamelli of Kimball. Aiden Dorosky of Willow Glen. He was the CCS champ. And then Nathan Wilbur of Cathedral Catholic.
I guess if I was going to give an edge, Andreas Lamelli's had a really nice season.
Right. Yeah. And super experienced. And he's been up there before. He's been in a lot of big races.
So now the boys are done, and then Campolindo and Jesuit hold their breaths and season
Right.
waits. I think there could be some also NXN individual runners in that D2 race that we'll be watching and waiting too. That one's easier to watch because that's just by time and people get bumped off and such.
Sure.
Then we have the D2 girls coming up, and what's kind of nice about the D2 girls, the top five ranked teams. These are based on November 19th state rankings. So by the time this is you get to see it, they're probably new rankings, but it's from teams from all over the state, which is really fun.
Right. So I think Whitney's been ranked up there. They got third in 2024. I believe they podiumed the year before also. They won their section meet. I believe they had the second fast time at the Sac Joaquin section behind Davis, and we'll talk about Davis in a second. But Whitney won their league championship over three really strong teams, and I think they're definitely up there. It's hard to. Yes, there are some divisions where you can go, okay, these are the favorite teams. I think there are teams that could potentially win. St. Francis Mountain View, they won CCS. They ran the fourth fastest team time ever on the Crystal Springs course. They got second last year. They beat Whitney by 2 points at the state meet, so they're definitely a factor. And Murrieta Valley, pretty good. Westlake. Point Loma won the San Diego section. So I think those are some of the contending teams in Division Three.
Yeah. Then individually, I think I see a favorite, but no, I see two favorites. I forgot about this one.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Actually, I said Division Three. That's Division Two. Yes. So this one, I think whoever wins this and potentially the second and third runners could potentially have the three fastest times of the day. So
Yes,
this,
there's
I
some
mean, this
really
is
good.
going to be, yeah. So. I think the first eye-opening mark of the season was when Aiello Curtis of Ventura ran 16:44
Yes.
at Clovis, and there's been runners who've run like multiple faster times on the Stamey course, but she's the sixth fastest girl in history. So if you look at all the girls who've run a fast time, that was the sixth fastest performer on the Woodward Park course. But then this past Saturday, Summer Wilson of Irvine ran 15:14 on I mean, obviously very, very fast course, but you run 15:14, that's for
Yeah.
what, I don't know. I think what the course is probably a little under 3 miles, or actually 3 miles because somebody posted that that's like a national record for
That's
a
what they
girl.
say, national record for a 3 mile. But again, on asphalt, and then a track.
Sure.
So,
Right. So
but still
obviously,
fast. I mean,
I don't think there would be any girl in the nation that would be like, not happy with running 15:14.
yeah, just to put it in perspective, later we'll talk about Max Zavaleta of MLK. He ran 13:59. So you're talking about a minute and 15 seconds slower
Yeah.
than the fastest boy. That's
Right.
pretty incredible.
Right. Yeah. When you think about what Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's obviously it's an outstanding race, and it'll be interesting what she does this weekend. Another runner who's been running really well is Amaya Bharadwaj of Palo
Hmm.
Alto. So
Yeah,
she's a senior. She's only run 7 races, but she's undefeated. I believe she won the small school at
you did.
Clovis.
Hmm.
And so she hasn't lost a race yet, and most of the races, obviously, she's been out there by herself. So it'll be interesting what she will do chasing both those girls.
She can do
Uh,
that. Those three should, unless Summer really is at a different level,
right.
you'd see those three right up there at the front racing
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah. And Amaya, she was a little disappointed she didn't break 17 at the Crystal Springs course, but tough to do by yourself. And then let's see, some other runners. Kaylee O'Connell won North Coast section. She's from Monte Vista. We already mentioned Amaya won CCS. Isabella Mayer of Mount Carmel. Isabella Vasquez of El Diamante. And the other one is Brenna Mannion of Vista del Lago. I believe she may have run the fastest time at the Sac Joaquin section. If not, she was definitely one of the top two or
Okay.
three. And only 3 girls broke 18 on that course, and she was one of them.
And then we have a repeat of what the boys did. We have the D3 girls at 10 o'clock. And boy,
Yeah.
that could be, well, what do you think? Could be anybody, or maybe not.
Yeah, I think, based on state rankings and based on the whole season, I think St. Francis of in Sacramento has been the best team in that
Okay.
division. They also have a really strong front runner, and we'll mention her in a second. Santa Margarita, they were second in the Southern section. They were also third last year in at state. Oak Park was third at the Southern section meet. El Toro won. So they were the CIF champ. And
Hmm.
then in the Norco section, Norgate and Campolindo have been battling back and forth this year. Norgate was great early. Campolindo got him a couple of times later at their league meet. But Norgate ran really well at the section meet. I believe they had the second fastest team time, and they could definitely be a contender if they run really well again at state. So I think those are the contending teams.
Yeah, El Toro had a great day. They're the second fastest team in the merge. And so behind Miracosta. So they had a really strong day. They were strong last year. Who are some of our superstars? They could be from anywhere in the state. There's some really diverse girls from different parts of the state that could win it.
Right. So Carol Dye, she beat her teammate Taryn. Let's see, what is it? Cole.
Colston?
So they're from Santa Margarita. So they ran really well. So they call it. This always confuses me, but maybe it doesn't confuse people from down south. But CIF, I always think of the state meet, but in the southern section they say CIF SS.
CIF Southern Section. Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
And
well, I grew up there and when I coached there too, after they had the state meet, we would just say, hey, did you win CIF? And we
right.
always knew that
Yeah.
meant your section.
Right. And CIF is
It's
it's
everything. Yes, everywhere. It's
the
CIF LA
organization,
section. Yeah.
right? And so like we say CCS or NCS
Now,
and
yeah.
Sac Joaquin
And I'll tell you
section,
something else too. We don't say, I shouldn't say we. I live in Beaverton, but I still have the we in me. We say the 405,
right?
the 101. In fact, I live here where we have a 405 and a 5. And
Yeah.
people say, Ken, what are you doing? Why do you call it the 405 and the
Yeah.
205? We like to like put things in front of what it really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Here in Northern California, no, we just have 280, 101. That's it.
Oh, CIF Southern Section, correct. Did you
Right.
win CIF? That doesn't mean the
Yeah.
state meet. It means
Right.
Southern Section.
And yeah, the whole freeway talk, but we actually had that on Zoom, I think last week. Um, so Gretchen Yakaitis of
Yeah.
Carondelet, she won. She's been running really well all season. She ran
Mhm.
4:52 in the 1600 during cross country. Alyssa Gutierrez is the St. Francis runner I was going to mention, but she's a freshman. She ran well at Woodbridge. She ran well at
Yeah.
Clovis. She's run a lot of races and
Yeah. She's getting some
great
experience.
experience.
Hmm.
Harper Diaz of Santana, Esmeralda Lopez of Central East, and then Stella Newman was the section champion in the CCS. She's from Burlingame.
Yeah, lots of different. It could be anybody. It could be Gretchen or Carol or even Carol's teammate.
Right.
Alyssa looks pretty. I mean, she's a freshman, but she doesn't seem to be phased by these races. So
Yeah.
it could be anybody. So now we go to our new section, which is D4 boys. And what do you see there?
Right. So this is once again Jay Sarah and Foothill Technology. They've been battling all year, kind of back and forth. Jay Sarah won, I believe, it was 47 to 50.
Close. Yeah.
That is a toss up, and
Hmm.
you know, I think that once you add other runners in the mix there, just one runner from either team having an off day or having
Yeah.
a spectacular day, and that would make the difference. So, I mean, it is literally a toss-up. Even though Jay Sarah won at CIF, they, I mean, they're basically co-favorites. So we'll see. So Jay Sarah won last Saturday, so we'll see this Saturday. St. Mary's was the best team in the North Coast section. They have three really strong runners.
They
They have
do.
Lost Gap and they had a runner that I don't know if he was injured during the meet on Saturday, so I don't know how much of a factor that is, but I think they're definitely up there. And then Sage Creek won the San Diego section, and their coach actually he used to coach at Centerville High School, and he won a state championship in 2010. I don't know if they can battle with J. Sarah or Foothill Technology, but they'll definitely be up there trying to get on the
Yeah.
podium. And Harvard Westlake was the third best team in the Southern section.
Yeah. And then who are some individuals?
So individuals, let's see, Sebastian Taylor from Bishop O'Dowd won. He looked pretty strong and looked like lots of run in him. So this is one thing when you look at all the section meets. Obviously, the Southern section ran a super flat course. If you look at the Sac Joaquin section, their course is super rugged, and their times are not indicative of what people are
Hmm.
going to run at the state meet. I think the same thing with the NCS course. It rained a little bit on Thursday. The course doesn't drain well, but it's a lot of grass,
Yeah, I
and
saw that.
yeah, it's not. If you look at the times, no boy broke 15 minutes.
Hmm.
I think girls' fastest time was 17:18. So it's there will definitely be, people running faster at the state meet than what they did at the
Yeah.
section final. So yeah, Sebastian Taylor looked really strong for Bishop O'Dowd. We've mentioned Josiah Bowman of Sage Creek. He's run, I think, 150 in the 800. So I mean, if he's in the mix and it's 800 to go, I think he'd have a pretty good chance there. Jackson Levisser of Christian Brothers, um, Vin Kruger of Oaks Christian, and Omero Galindo of Strathmore.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think there's a real favorite in this division.
right, yeah, I think I think it's pretty much wide open.
Yeah.
Last year, I think Eli won.
Hmm. Yeah. He was kind of the king of that section for the last couple of years.
Sure. So I mean, he was a strong favorite last year, but yeah, I think this year it's wide open.
And then the strong Division 5 races are the first of them are at 11 o'clock, the D5 girls. This one is going to be kind of
Yeah.
fun. There's some good teams that are really close.
Right.
Hmm.
I've mentioned Emmanuel before. They finished second as a team the last couple of
They
years.
have.
So 2 years ago, we ended up in a six-man tiebreaker with them, and we ended up winning. So they got second, and then last year, Branson just had a really strong team. That they're they've graduated a couple of their seniors, and I believe they set a team time record for Division 5. So Emmanuel, they returned everybody that they've kind of been off all season, but then all of a sudden at their section meet they ran really well, and
Hmm.
I think clearly there are the top two teams are going to be Emmanuel and Crystal Springs, and
Hmm.
Crystal Springs ran really well at their league final. They ran really well at their section meet, and it's going to come down to once again the state meet. Emmanuel very familiar with that course. They ran their league final at Woodward Park. They ran their section meet at Woodward Park. I mean, they're going to be on that course three times.
Right.
And so that's definitely an advantage. And Crystal Springs, I think one of those teams is going to win the state championship. The next best team is probably San Francisco University. They ended up with a tiebreaker
Yeah.
with like Wilmerding at their section meet, but they were missing one of their runners who she's going to be running at the state meet. So she's either been their number one or number two runner this
Okay.
year. So that's obviously so I think those are the top three teams. Branson, they have three really strong runners up front. Lick Wilmerding, they have once again three strong runners up front, and they gave University a pretty good run. And then Sonoma Academy was the third best team in the North Coast section, and the North Coast section has done really well at the state meet.
And then on the girls' side, lots of stars that have been up there in the past.
Right. So the defending champion, Sarkeesian, I can't remember her first name, but she's not.
Brentwood.
Yeah, so she won last year. She was supposed to be back, but I don't know if she was injured, so she will not be defending her title.
Hmm.
Ella Moganum of Lick Wilmerding, I believe she's finished second the last 2 years. She's been running really well. She had a very spirited race on Saturday against Farrah Allen of Branson. So those two are definitely going to be up there. Clara Riddle is from Emmanuel. She's their lead runner. Anna Salter of Crystal Springs. She's had a really good season. She ran 10:22 earlier in a 3,200 race, and she'll definitely be in the top 10. Let's see, what is it? Eliana Patterson of Christian. She won. She was way ahead of everybody in the San Diego section.
Can I make a plug for her? I saw her at Mount Sac, and she was way in front of everybody at Mount Sac. She
Right.
could be the person to watch. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, she hasn't run against the Northern California powerful Division Five teams, but she wins by a lot, and Mount
Right.
Sac's fairly competitive, and she won by a lot there too.
Yeah. And then let's see. And Sophia Joe of Campbell Hall and then Vacaville Christian, Josie Krulik. She was their section champion.
And then you go to the big boys, Division One boys. These are maybe some individuals, and maybe even maybe a third place team. If that Campolindo and Jesuit have a normal day, they might get a wild card or at large bid for NXN. So Division One boys could be interesting. Lots of it's a Southern section feel, and they keep shuffling back and forth. It could be
Right.
anybody. Yeah,
Yeah, and if I mentioned this earlier, but if you looked at the results, I mean, it just depends on who runs best at the state meet. It's very hard to run really well at the section meet and then come back, especially for the teams that raced this past weekend, for them to run really well one week and then come back a week later
yeah.
and run really well again. And you need all five runners to be running really well. And if one of your five runners didn't have a good day, you need to be deep enough where a sixth or seventh runner comes into play. So the defending champion is Beckman. They won last year. They also won the Southern Section meet. So I think if like, okay, who's the favorite, then they're probably the favorite.
Mhm.
And then San Clemente was second. They finished like really close to them. So and they do a really good job of closing. Miracosta was fourth. Redondo Union was fifth, and Redondo Union was third last year at the state meet.
Yeah.
Crescenta Valley is another team, and then I think the Bellarmine and Menlo Atherton. So at the CCS meet, um, Menlo Atherton defeated Bellarmine by 4 points. It was
Mhm.
like 51-55. Bellarmine last year, they lost Mountain View at the CCS meet and then came back and got second at state.
He did.
And,
Got the
and
podium.
right. So, very experienced coach, Patrick McChrystal, it must be a Jesuit thing. His coach has been a Jesuit for almost 60 years. Patrick's been at Bellarmine since 1989. And he definitely has a really good front runner. They always have a really good pack. I mean, there have been some years where they've had over 200 boys on their team. So super
Wow.
deep team, and MA they've had a great season, and I think the other team that might be is Clovis North. So
Yeah.
they've been in the top 10, I think, at some point.
Mhm.
We'll talk about Connor a lot in a second. But I think those are all the teams in play, and literally you could have a team that could potentially win or potentially get seventh,
Right.
depending how their kids run.
Yes, it's going to be very close. I've seen Americosta and Redondo Union are in the same league. I've seen them many times at Woodbridge, at Portland,
Yeah.
Mount Sac, Clovis. They keep toggling back and forth. So that's pretty fun, at least for me for watching. Individually, I think there's three boys in this race that could make NXN.
Yeah. So we've already talked about Maximo Zavaleta of MLK. He had the fastest time of the day at the Southern Section meet, and he ran 13:59, and I believe he got second at Clovis behind Jackson Spencer of Harriman. Connor Lott is the defending champion. He won last year. He at Clovis he ran, I believe he ran 14:55.
Yeah.
He's also state champ in 1600, so super experienced guy. Steven Ziebert of Bellarmine has been running really well. He ran 15 flat at Clovis. He actually beat Connor Lott at the 2 mile at the Clovis North. I believe it's called like the Twilight Meet.
Yeah. Mhm.
So he's definitely a factor. Elias Tronson, he's is a sophomore from Davis. I think he's the best sophomore in the state.
Yes.
And then you have Dean Odom of San Marcos and Daniel Santiapia Palai of Dublin was the section champ from Norco section.
Yeah, that top 10, I don't know. Could they all break 15? That's how good they are. We're talking about San Clemente's number one boy, Beckman's number one boy. Maricosta has two really solid number one and two. So does Redondo Union. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
that's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a very exciting race at 11:30.
right. And I think I was talking to somebody about this. The races are going to be dependent on the front of the group. So if it turns out into a tactical race, nobody wants to lead. I think this is more of a factor. I think in the boys races, I think the girls races separate a little earlier than the boys races. But if races become tactical, then that might affect NXN spots because then the times
Yes.
are not as fast. And then, in a merge, you're not going to be up as high as you thought you were. But if you got somebody taking the race out
Yeah.
and everybody's following, so there are lots of factors that go into play, just like you mentioned, with three or four different races that could be potentially in play for NXN.
I would agree. There are definitely on a team race, they might be just watching each other and seeing who's going to do, that's what happened when I was watching the NCAA Division One men's race. They were just
Yeah,
hanging out for the longest time, waiting for something to happen. I'm like, oh, wow. So my guess is that Max Zavaleta, whose MLK team, maybe not have a chance to really podium. He needs to go to NXN. Maybe he
sure.
takes it out.
Right.
Whereas Connor might be thinking, hey, my team might get a, well, maybe he'll go too. Maybe those are and the other kids are kind of not really all that sure they want to do it. They want to win the team race. So
Right. And there's also the golden tickets for the Brooks meet. I believe, I don't know if there's two or three.
Connor got it.
So Connor got one for the Brooks meet. Kiara Daly got one also. I don't know if there was anybody else from California.
Can't think of anybody. Oh, who's no, not yet. That's it. I mean, maybe they're giving them all out, but those are the two California kids.
Yeah, I tried to look it up, but you would figure there would be a spot that says, okay, here's the 10
Yeah,
girls that got a golden ticket, here's the 10 boys,
I think
but
those are the two California kids. Okay, coach. And now we head to the noon hour D4 girls. I don't know. There usually we talk about Jay Sarah, but there might be a second team that might be could be a challenger. Do you think?
Yeah. So Jay Sarah, they've been pretty dominant. I think if you look at both cross country and track, their girls have been super impressive. They're really deep. I think you made a note that one of their runners hasn't raced since Clovis,
Yeah.
but they're so deep. I mean, they're sixth, seventh, and I'm sure they have JV runners who I think any other team in the state would love to have him be part of their top five.
Yeah.
So they're the clear favorite. Archie Williams has been running really well. One of their at some point she was their number one runner, but she's their number two runner, and she had to take some time off from racing, and but she's back, and she's their number two runner, and they ran the fastest team time at the Norco section meet. They're really strong, and they're definitely going to be. They're definitely going to be a podium team. I don't know how close they're going to get to Jay Sarah, but they're definitely a factor. And then another team is Sage Creek. So we already talked about their boys. Their girls are also really good. They won both team section titles at the San Diego section. Placer won the Sac Joaquin section, and they finished third last year in the state meet. And Laguna Beach was fifth in the Southern section meet. And I think those are some of the teams that are going to be factors. Obviously one's an NXN contender, and there's definitely a couple of podium contenders in there as well.
Now, I always find this a dilemma for Jay Sarah, and they never seem to have a problem. It's
Yeah,
only something I worry about. But, we're not dissing D4, but it's just not as deep as D1 and D2. We're talking like
right.
if you're the third runner, who are you running with? And Jay Sarah tends not to have anybody near them when they're third runner.
Sure.
So they were fourth in the merge last Saturday at CIF Southern Section, which does not bode well for NXN,
Right.
but they don't
Yeah.
seem they seem to understand that, and they seem to take care of business regardless of, they just run their race and they make it. So that's kind of an interesting tidbit that they finished fourth in the merge,
Yeah.
and they have to run really fast.
Sure. And I think they know it's a play as at the state meet as opposed to the Southern section meet. The Southern section meet, you're trying to win your division. I mean, I think there are some coaches and kids that might get into like, oh, we're the fastest team, we're the first in the merge and all that. But I think that's not a factor
Okay.
all. And I think this weekend they know like, hey, we have to run fast if we're gonna want to make NXN.
Yeah, and one of the things too about eyeballing it, watching it on my computer, it seemed like everybody was giving a 100% effort. It wasn't like they're looking around and doing a tempo run, which Jay
Sure.
Sarah could have easily done
Right.
because they're going to be in the top seven in the southern
Yeah.
section. Looked like they were trying to break the team score record for Division Four, which was held by Corona Del Mar, and I think they may have done it or they tied it or something like
Sure.
that. So they were
Yeah.
giving it a pretty good effort. They had all their top five in the top seven,
Right.
maybe. They were really competitive.
Yeah.
So, but they've done it. They've gone to NXM ever since the pandemic every year, and so
Yeah.
they'll be a team that's going to be flying on the course. And if Archie Williams can help, that'll help them too. And
Yeah. And,
under
and yeah. And I think having Kiara Daly in the race as well, that
yes,
she's
we're going to go to
gonna
the individuals. There's some really good
yeah.
individuals that'll make it really fun.
Right. Yeah, and I mean individuals, Brooke Lee. So Archie Williams, she's been their number one runner. She's been running really well. Let's see,
Do you
and
think
then
their number two runner who's been out, she might be getting
Annie
back into
Steve.
fitness?
She's definitely getting up there, and she's finished in the top 10 before at state, and I think she's either going to be into the top 10 or just outside the top 10.
Okay.
So I mean that's going to give Archie Williams, two runners potentially in the top 10, which could obviously depending how their other runners run, make them really competitive.
Hmm.
And then we've already mentioned Kiara Daly, so she is I believe there are two California runners. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody,
I
but
think it
she
is
got a
just two.
golden ticket.
Hmm.
She's been to I guess it's been different names, but she's been to the San Diego meet the last 3 years,
Hmm.
and I believe she's the two-time defending champion in this division. So she's going for three in a row here, and if we have to pick a favorite, she's a favorite. Giselle Fernandez of Riverbank is up there. Hannah Shehorn of Scotts Valley, she was super impressive at the CCS meet, and then Montserrat Santillan Silva of Century. She was a Southern Section champion, and I believe I was reading that she got 43rd last year in the same race, so
Yes.
improved a lot
And
in
she
the
won
last.
by a lot too. And those are the J Sarah girls in her race. So that was
Right.
very impressive.
Yeah. So I think those are the favorites, but Kiara Daly has to be the favorite, being the two-time defending champion
Yes.
and one of the top runners in the nation. And I believe she got second at Woodbridge.
She
So
did. She almost
yeah,
won it. She came very close to winning it.
yeah,
So you're talking about like, hey, Division One boys, what if they just kind of run a tactical race?
yeah,
This guarantees that this will not be a tactical race
right.
because she's going to
Which
take it
will help
out,
save Sarah.
and that'll help Jay Sarah. They're going to go with as much as they can.
Right.
It'll make them faster. I think, Archie Williams went 1, 2, 3 in their section race. They're pretty deep. It'll be a fun race, and it'll be intriguing to see how that impacts Jay Sarah and NXN. Last year, the D5 boys race was an incredible race. They return at 12:30. Who are some teams in? It looks like again a number of teams from different sections.
Right. So I think the top three teams are going to be and well, maybe in order, maybe not, but University, Viewpoint, and Menlo. So University last year they got fourth. They were just off the podium. But I think they've been the most consistent team this year, and they've been pretty healthy. They've had everybody, and so I think they're the favorite. Viewpoint got second last year in the Division 5 race, but unfortunately, their second and third runners, they haven't raced. I believe one of them raced one time, and that's been it. And then another one of their runners raced at the prelims, but didn't race in the final. And I
Hmm.
checked the entries for state, and he's not racing.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
they're they had a runner who's improved a lot this year, but they're not quite the same team they were last year. And then Menlo, obviously they graduated. I believe three runners from last year's NXN qualifying team. They're really good. They have a really good front runner. But I think it's going to be something in that order. I think University is the favorite, and then Viewpoint Menlo, second or third behind them. And then you have Ontario Christian. They were the second Southern Section team, and then St. Margaret's was fourth. And I think those are like the contending teams for the podium.
In, in,
Individually,
individually, I like to say that last year we had some fast kids that
sure,
made it to NXN. One with a team, but if the team hadn't made it,
right,
Petrie would have made it. And
right,
then had the Woodcrest Christian boy make it. There are like three boys, I think, maybe there's
yeah,
more, that maybe
yeah.
have NXN potential. They're very fast.
Right. So I think Ollie O'Connor is the favorite. He was in the top five last year. He was either top five or he was six, but he's been the best runner in Division 5 this year. Super experienced, out of Viewpoint. Ryan Fitzpatrick of Nueva. I think he's maybe been a little bit under the radar, but he's been super impressive. He's
Yeah.
won several invitationals, ran at Woodbridge, ran at Clovis, and he won CCS. The other one is Blake Bay of Fresno Christian. I
Yes.
believe he broke 15 at Clovis. I think he's only a junior. So those three guys. Henry Hauser of Menlo. A couple of weeks ago, I believe he had pneumonia,
Oh
and so
gosh.
he just kind of cruised at CCS, and he's had 2 weeks, to
Yeah.
further recover. So he's definitely super talented, and
Yes,
he'll
he is.
be in play there. And then Jackson Poburko of Trinity from the northern section. Ben Friedland looked great
Yeah.
on Saturday for University. So University, they have a really strong pack, but they also have a really strong runner up front. So he's definitely a big factor. And David Avila of Millennium and Kai Rottler of High Tech of Mesa. So
Do you
I think,
think at that point, this is the last boys race? Do they know, like coaches know what the other guys ran at the 1 mile split and the 2 mile split? Or is
yeah,
that, or is it just more organic? You're just going to run fast.
I think, if there are individuals that are in contention for NXN as individuals, I think, like, hey, these are the five fastest times right now. But I think you have to run your
Hmm.
race, what you've done all season. You can't all of a sudden go like, oh, I need to run 14:40, so I got to go out at this time. I
Hmm.
think you you just hope that your fitness and you got the state meet, and you're gonna run faster, just because it's the state meet and it's a great course, and lots of fans. But yeah, I think when you go later in the day like that, you kind of know what times are out there. Last year, um, Ian Turk and Landon,
Hmm.
they ended up running the two fastest time of the day. And
Right.
I'm sure going in, I'm sure they knew who'd run what so far, just looking at the results.
And then we get to the 1 o'clock race, the D1 girls. I keep talking about NXN. I live in Portland, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah,
And this could be the heartbreak race for the girls that ran the other divisional races and have fast times, because there are some fast individuals in this race
right.
who could dislodge people for NXN. But we also have, I think we might have a more intriguing race than we have in the past for D1.
Yeah, I think last year we had a great battle. I believe it was Trabuco Hills and Buchanan, and they both ran really fast. And it was, two teams that scored really low when you look at the state championship, usually the winning teams have over 100 points.
Hmm.
And last year, you had two teams that scored way less than that. But Buchanan will be favored again. It's their home course. I mean, I'm pretty sure they do workouts there, and
Hmm.
they know like every like nook and cranny and
Yeah.
every tangent, and so I think they're the favorites. Let's see, Miracosta, they ran really well at the Southern Section meet. They were first in the merge by a lot. And Santiago Corona has also been one of the top teams in the state. Trabuco Hills won last year. And then another team that's going to be a factor is Davis. So the
Yeah.
Davis girls, Bill Gregg has been coaching there for a long time, and he definitely knows how to get kids ready for this meet. And they had the fastest team time at the Sac Joaquin section, which is pretty impressive considering like Whitney is in there, and Whitney beat them at their league meet. So,
Hmm.
so Davis is really coming on, and yeah, I think those are some of the teams that are going to be in play there.
Now, I don't know how much to read into the Maricosta. They won by a lot. Could that just be a 1 week just great day, or are they really much better than all the other teams, and they're the second best team, and maybe close to being with Buchanan and maybe being an at-large team? But we'll find out, I guess. They've been
Yeah.
running really well at the end of the year. So individually, we've got some stars in here that
Yeah.
are huge factors.
Yeah, so Braylon Combe of San Diego Corona, she's the defending champion in 1600. And I think I saw one of her interviews after one of the races, and she's like, I want to show people that I'm not just a track runner, I'm also a pretty good cross country
Mhm.
runner. So I'm sure she'll be out there trying to win. Avery Woke of Davis, she also ran really well at her section meet. She was the section champion. Daniela Quadros of Carlmont was the CCS champion. We've talked about Jalen Williams before. I believe she was the 2023 state champion, the 3200, and she's been running really well this year. She ran really well at Woodbridge, and she's definitely going to be a factor, and she's fearless. She will not be waiting and sitting, and she might be the one pressing the pace.
Yeah,
And
she won the 3200 in 2024, and she won the San Diego section. She was much faster than Kiara Daly. They ran probably separate races.
right.
I don't think they combined the races there in San Diego, but she ran like in the 1640s. She looks pretty fit.
Yeah. So yeah, and she's had a great season. So she's definitely going to be a factor. Emily Bellinger won the NCS meet, and then Isabella Ramirez of Bullard was, I believe, the section champion in the central section.
Which is no small feat if you consider all the fast Buchanan girls that she's running against. She
Sure.
Buchanan girls, so that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Wow, it's gonna be fun. Every race is gonna have something that worth watching.
Yeah. So one other thing is that's going to be interesting is the at-large bids
Yeah,
for NXN. So there are four boys and four girls. I believe two of those bids, and this might be for both boys and girls, are going to come out of the Southwest. Coronado and American Fork for the boys, they were like 2 points apart, and both those teams might make at large bids. Bale and Jesuit, because they had to run in the Florida meet, they
hmm,
might be the third. So California usually gets an at large bid.
yeah,
So I don't know who, but I mean, look at all the teams we've mentioned. I
yeah,
have no idea who's going to be the last year. Glendora
right.
was the third team that got the at-large team from California, and I don't know how many people before the statement would have said, "Oh, Glendora."
Right.
So and same thing for the girls.
Can I say something about Beckman? They were one of the teams that
Sure,
I thought they were going to be one of the teams, and I saw them. They
right,
ran. My memory doesn't work for that great, but I thought their D1 ran early because it was right, right the early part of the meet,
yeah,
and they were so excited because they were the state champions.
sure,
And over time, and one of their runners, their number one runner, didn't have a great day, but they still were
right,
state champions.
right,
And when you're talking about the merge, that one kid has not such a great day, but you still win the state championship, which is awesome.
yeah,
When it comes to the NXN merge, that's makes it tough, and they missed out by just a little
right,
bit. So
yeah, and the at-large bids that I believe they're announced Saturday evening.
yeah, usually the coach gets a phone call when they're going up the Grapevine or going
Yeah,
through Casa de Fruta, the pass,
right.
Pacheco
Yeah,
Pass.
yeah. So I don't know who. Part of it is based on how you've done during the season.
Yeah.
So, if there's somebody that all of a sudden has a huge breakthrough at the state meet, how much is that going to be a factor? What about other teams that have been consistently good all season? So it's going to be super interesting. Maybe it might turn out to be like, hey, there's three teams like way ahead of everybody, and
Yes. The gap.
and
There's going to be a gap. Right.
yeah, and it's pretty clear, or there's definitely going to be a discussion, and how many other teams from other states are going to be in play. So
Yeah. Like in the boys race, boys merge, you got Jesuit ranked 2 and Campolino ranked 11th. If there's a gap, that's actually understandable if you're the 22nd best team in the
sure,
country.
yeah,
Um, but if you're close to those two teams, and I think you're looking pretty good.
right.
So
Yeah, and the other factor which you mentioned earlier, it's there's a lot of sickness. There's teams that there might be somebody that wakes up on Thursday or Friday and like, hey, I'm not feeling too
right.
well, and you need everybody to be at 100% or close to it,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden one of your runners isn't at 100%. So
Yeah.
we're recording this on Tuesday. There's
Yeah.
still Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I always joke with other coaches how as coaches we have 2 hours to build our kids up, and then they have 22 hours to mess that up
Yeah.
somehow.
Anything can happen. I don't know. It's rained quite a bit in California. How does that Woodward Park, does it hold very well? What I'm asking is, if you run at 8:30, will the course be in good shape at 1? A lot of courses do not have that luxury.
Right.
This course, I've been there. It seems like it holds great. Do you think it'll hold okay?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the weather report. I don't think it's going to rain. I can't remember the last time. I mean, I've definitely been to state meets where it rained. It's definitely a huge factor. And this is why one thing I don't understand about some of these NXR and regional qualifiers, how they have their races after all the other races.
You at the end. It's kind of like the showcase event, but it's so dangerous with the
But
course.
yeah, but why would you?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It's like you would figure like, hey, when we used to have the Stanford Invitational, and they ran high school races, and they ran the college races, and they ran more high school races, and they always had the college races like early on. You
Yeah.
know, like you would figure like, hey, these are our two premier races. Let's have them run. Somebody mentioned that, oh, they don't want other runners to interfere with the races, since it would be early on. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, weather is definitely a factor. I mean, you see why, some other states they had their state meet like a month ago, because if they try to hold their state meets now, it would be
Right.
in snow.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's a pretty good course. It holds really well. I know that last year I was on the course. It wasn't great for photography because it was slippery getting from one part to the other, but it wasn't part of the course. I was
Yeah,
off the course, and it rained the week earlier and it was pretty muddy, but not where the kids were running. That's the key. I think they
right.
does a good job of that course does a really good job of absorbing the rain. So
Yeah, and I think this is the same goes for the Crystal Springs course. It's great that this course has remained the same. I'm sure there's been like little, very subtle changes that have happened, and if Ken Reeves, I know he measures the course every year and all this stuff, and I'm sure there might be like slight little changes, but for the most part, the course has remained the same, and it's a great course. It's very fair.
yeah,
Uh, there's many places you can pass people, so it's not like, oh, we got to get out fast because if we get caught behind, there's no way we can
right.
catch up. So
It
it's a
doesn't really make the big turn is not for a long time. That's one of the big concerns
yeah,
with the course. So
right. And yeah, there was we used to run at Toro Park in the CCS, and like you ran for about, I don't know, maybe like 200 meters, and then there's like a sharp right
yeah,
turn.
that's not good.
And yeah, and if you don't get out, if you really want to get out there, it definitely was a factor.
Yeah, you can either get trapped, you're not moving, or you fall,
Right,
which are not
right.
both not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that'll be fun. I'll be out there taking some pics, looking forward to it. And now that I've talked to you, I know who to look for in my camera because you've given us a good rundown of all the teams and the athletes. Coach, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your Thanksgiving,
All right. Thank
and
you. And
and
you
we
too.
will see you again in the future. Thanks,
All right.
Coach.
All right. Thanks a lot.
I want to thank Todd and Coach Albert for coming on and really talking about the California State Meet. I think we covered every angle that's coming up on Saturday. I'll be writing a preview that I'll publish on Friday. You can look for that also later on this week. And then um, Todd and I are going to be on the course on Friday afternoon, just taking pictures of athletes on their run, and maybe we'll head up to the finish line area and take pictures of teams hanging out by the finish area. There's always a line of kids trying to take pictures of the finish area, and we'll be in that place too, and take pictures on Friday. And of course, Todd and I will be there on Saturday taking pictures. You can find our photos at westcoastxc.com, and Todd has his photos on his website, and you can find that on his bio and on Instagram. And you can see his Instagram link below my chin, and you can click on that. You can click on it right now. You can check out the NCS, CIF NCS finals and other races he's gone to in the fall. And he works really hard and goes to a bunch of races, whether it's college or high school. And check out his photos. So looking forward to the California State Meet. Looking forward to Thanksgiving. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And if you are going to be at the meet, we'll hope to see you there. We've got stickers, and And if not, look for our photos and our coverage afterwards. And remember that the West Coast is the best coast. We'll see you next time.